It is your host, E.I. Smith. I'm at the Broward Central Terminal in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Gonna get some gang stalking caught on camera for you this evening. We're looking for synchronized obstruction of movement, synchronized space crowding, and other miscellaneous gang stalking activity that I will call out as I see it. I'm gonna walk from here to the US 1 bus in aisle C1, which is at the end of this walkway. And we're going to just film whatever I can. So right off the bat, synchronized obstruction of movement. Those are timed maneuvers. A targeted individual can only experience stuff like that so many times before they realize that those are derived. A person can only obstruct your space and crowd you as you're moving in a random fashion so many times before you realize that those are timed maneuvers. Right as I began walking, all of a sudden 2 stalkers darted in front of me. That's the 60 bus that they just got on. That bus is not moving for another few minutes. It's not as if they were gonna miss that bus if they didn't dart in front of me. They darted in front of me specifically to obstruct my movements. Those are time synchronized maneuvers, and they represent gang stalking activity. Synchronized obstruction of movement is very annoying. You encounter it as a targeted individual anywhere and everywhere you go. People are darting in front of you, cutting you off, obstructing your movement in a series of interactions over a period of time. These maneuvers happen so often and in such a calculated, deliberate fashion that you eventually realize that they are not random occurrences, but gang stalking activity. What is the point? The point is to annoy, harass, destabilize, anger, and pester the targeted individual, in addition to other things. And it happens every day. No matter where he is, no matter what time of day it is, he should expect some form of obstruction of movement wherever he goes. So I'm here at aisle C1. This bus goes to Aventura Mall. And if you'll notice as well, there were 2 individuals that darted in front of me. And no more. That move was specially planned for 2 people to execute it. There was no one else coming in behind them, so it's not as if there was a crowd of people looking to get on that bus. That's synchronized obstruction of movement, ladies and gentlemen, and it also happens as I'm walking through parking lots, on the sidewalk, you name it. When it's done by cars, motorcycles, etc., it's called vehicular synchronized obstruction of movement, and it's much more dangerous. Even though synchronized obstruction of movement by pedestrians is equally as dangerous, because a physical altercation could form or could be instigated because of that, especially if there's a physical collision between the targeted individual and the gang stalker. So I have a fairly strong Wi-Fi signal here, so I'm going to continue rolling the camera until it's time to get on the bus and just observe my surroundings. You'll notice in previous videos I've had biological attacks against me. I've had knives pulled on me. My fiance Lori's been brutally assaulted. I've been brutally assaulted. I've had phony 911 calls against me, one of which took place in Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, where someone called the police on me and said that I was waving a gun around inside of a Publix grocery store. Was a total lie. Fabricated 911 calls are a part of gang-stalking campaigns against the lives of targeted individuals. I've got it all on tape. Check me out on YouTube, Emmanuel Isaiah Smith. Check me out here on Facebook. Check me out on Twitter. When you're a targeted individual and you're smack dead in the middle of a gang-stalking campaign, it's always a good time to roll cameras because there's always something going on around you. And it's always destructive. It's always deleterious. It's always negative. It's not just the stalkers, it's the stalkers and their police cohorts, which may or may not know that they're involved in the gang-stalking campaign. Phony 911 calls are a huge part of gang-stalking. I've had so many phony 911 calls against me, you wouldn't believe it. And each time I've come out smelling like a rose, because a fake 911 call is a fake call indeed. And an innocent person is an innocent person indeed. And I'm an innocent person. I'm a good citizen. And I am to be a productive citizen. That's why I'm doing gang stalking in action. And I do it to protect myself. I do it to protect my fiance Lori. And as I've said in so many other videos, it's always a good time to roll the camera, especially when you're in motion. When a targeted individual is in motion, the gang stalkers are in motion. When a targeted individual is walking, the gang stalkers are instantly mobilized against the target with cars, scooters, motorbikes, rollerblades, skateboards, on foot. The goal is to cause a collision with the targeted individual or just obstruct his movements. The constant movement around the TI is often obstructive. Sometimes you see the same person walking back and forth in front of them numerous times in an effort to annoy him. I'm getting ready to demonstrate this now. You'll see the guy in the black t-shirt. He's walked back and forth in front of me about 3 times now. Make it 4. Stuff like that is derived. It is not random occurrences. These are not people just minding their own business. They are part of a gang stalking unit. Now, the extent of their knowledge of what they're doing is not important. The important thing is that such a thing does exist in the United States of America. It is very likely a program that involves some sort of citizen policing, although the citizens themselves may not know that that's what they're a part of. It was likely something that was pork-barreled through Congress on the coattails of a national security bill or a policing bill or maybe a semi-law enforcement bill. That is what I'm thinking. That's why it's so well-resourced, so mobile. That's why Targeted Individual experiences what he does in all 50 states. Only a government program can mobilize human weapons against a target in such a persistent way. And you see off in the distance the lights on the police cruiser. There are police cruisers that patrol this area regularly, this terminal. Fort Lauderdale is the crime capital of Florida. It's the murder capital of Florida. And you see how close these stalkers walk to you. There's plenty of room on this sidewalk. It's very wide. It's at least 7 feet wide. But they choose to walk as close as they can to you because that's what stalkers do. They annoy people and they harass people. But back to what I was saying about Fort Lauderdale, it is the crime capital and the murder capital of Florida. I believe it's 22 homicides per 100,000 people. And it's fairly well patrolled at the central terminal, which is where I'm at now because of that statistic. I'm gonna have a cigarette as I wait. Lori just walked off. I think she went to the vending machine, so I may miss this bus if she doesn't come back in time. But this is the bus we're catching. This is the Broward County 1 bus to Aventura Mall. We typically take this bus at the end of the night because during the day we go to Broward County libraries. And we typically have breakfast and lunch and dinner in Broward County. And then we go back to Port St. Lucie or we go to Aventura for the night. It depends on what we have to do the next day. There's the driver. And Lori's not back yet, so I'll probably miss this bus. So I'll wait on the next one. I may lose my signal as this bus leaves because I'm pulling Wi-Fi from this bus. No. Someone just asked me if I could spare this. It's not a short, it's a whole cigarette. Whoever that guy is, he's waiting around on me. Lori is just down the hall there. You can kind of see her coming towards. If she gets back in time, I'll be able to catch this bus. Looks like we're gonna miss it. So I'll end the broadcast.